our life was like a perfect picture. A happy family settled under the golden sun of Los Angeles. My son Leo, he was our pride, our future. But slowly, dark scratches began to appear on that picture. An unfamiliar emptiness took root in our beloved son's eyes, a devastating hunger. Very quickly, that hunger turned into violence. He began to torment us for drugs. The very home where we raised him with love became a living hell for us.
Give me the money. Give me all of it.
When your own child becomes your greatest enemy, what is a parent left to do? Before you listen to this story, if you are a new viewer of our channel, please subscribe to our channel. Our house was in Pasadena, a quiet suburb of Los Angeles. The wide streets lined with palm trees, the manicured green lawns, and the flower gardens adorning the front of every house. It all came together like a postcard from a perfect American dream. I am Michael Sullivan, an architect. My wife Sarah is a school teacher. Our lives revolved around our two children, Leo and Chloe. Leo was our first child, our pride. From a young age, he possessed a strange talent. The way he spread colors on a canvas, it was as if he were speaking through them. His paintings had life, they had stories. In high school, he was everyone's favorite, a champion debater, a reliable player on the football team, and an exceptional student. We were certain that Leo would become someone great one day. The walls of his room were covered with posters of MIT and Caltech. We dreamed that one day he would study at one of the country's best universities and make a name for himself. Our younger daughter, Chloe, was the complete opposite of Leo. She was quiet, shy, and a bookworm. She worshipped her older brother. She would hang on his every word. When Leo played the guitar, Chloe would sit beside him for hours, mesmerized. Our family was bound by a strong weave of love. On holidays, we would go to Santa Monica Beach, we would stargaze at the Griffith Observatory, and the sound of our laughter at the dinner table would reach the ears of our neighbors. Everything was perfect, as beautiful as a picture. We could never have imagined that a dark stain would soon mar this beautiful image. The trouble began subtly, so subtly that we didn't even notice it first. In his final year of high school, some changes started to appear in Leo's behavior. The boy who always shared everything with us suddenly became quiet and withdrawn. His group of friends changed too. Instead of his old friends, he started hanging out with some new, strange boys whom we didn't know. Initially, we thought it was a normal part of adolescence. Perhaps he was trying to create his own world. His grades began to slip a little. One day, when Sarah tried to talk to him, he got irritated and said, "Mom, please, I'm not a kid anymore. Give me some space." Then came the pressure for money. "Dad, I need some new art supplies," or "I need to buy some books for my college applications." The reasons were so trivial and normal that we didn't suspect the thing. But the demand for money grew, day by day. One day, I smelled something like burnt spoon coming from his room. When I asked, he laughed it off, saying, "Oh, Dad, I was just doing a chemical experiment for an art project." We believed him because we wanted to believe him. The truth was first revealed on one terrifying night. It was around 2 a.m. We woke up to Chloe's screams. Rushing to her room, we saw her trembling with fear, huddled in a corner. Her new laptop was gone, and Leo was looking at us with an expression I will never forget. There was no affection in those eyes, no shame. There was only a cold, lifeless emptiness and an intense hunger. That night, for the first time, Leo admitted that he was addicted to a painkiller called OxyContin. Friends had given it to him at a party for fun. He himself didn't realize when that fun had turned into the biggest curse of his life. That night was the first nail in the coffin of our golden dreams. After that, our life became like a roller coaster. We admitted Leo to a rehab center, the best and most expensive one in California. We spent a large portion of our savings there. When Leo returned home after 3 months, he looked like the old Leo again, healthy, strong, and remorseful. He hugged us and cried, promising never to go down that path again. We started to dream again, but that dream didn't last for more than a month. One day, Sarah couldn't find a diamond necklace that she cherished. It was the last memento from her mother. We had no doubt where the necklace had gone. When we confronted Leo that day, he transformed into a terrifying version of himself. His eyes were as red as hibiscus flowers. He started screaming, "Yes, I took it! What are you gonna do? Call the police? Go ahead. I am the biggest shame of your perfect life anyway." From that day on, the atmosphere in our home changed. Fear and suspicion replaced love and trust. We started hiding our money and credit cards. Every object in the house seemed like a potential target for theft. Sarah couldn't sleep at night. The slightest sound would startle her, thinking Leo had come to steal something. Leo's abuse began to escalate. He didn't just stop at stealing things. Psychological torment was his daily weapon. He knew our weaknesses. He would tell Sarah, "This is all your fault. If you had been a better mother, I would have never touched drugs." He would tell me, "You only know how to make money. You never tried to be my friend." These words pierced our souls like poisonous arrows. We started blaming ourselves. Maybe we had gone wrong somewhere. Chloe was the biggest victim of this terrifying environment. She wouldn't leave her room. Her happy, smiling face turned pale with fear and anxiety. She began to fear her brother, the brother who had once been her hero. One day I saw Chloe hiding a knife in her drawer. When I asked, she cried and said, "Dad, I get really scared when brother becomes like that." My heart shattered into a million pieces. I couldn't provide safety for my own daughter in my own home. Leo's addiction progressed from OxyContin to heroin because heroin was cheaper and more accessible. His physical condition deteriorated rapidly. The face of the fair, handsome boy was now marked with bruises. His eyes were sunken, and his body was skeletal. He no longer lived with us. He would show up sometimes like a feral animal. His goal was always the same: money. One day, I came home from the office to find Sarah crying on the floor, her hand swollen. Leo had struggled with her for money and pushed her down. I couldn't control myself that day. I threw Leo out of the house. I told him, "Until you get better, you have no place in this house." That night, the thought of where my son would be on the streets of Los Angeles, what he would eat, robbed me of my sleep. But I hardened my heart for the safety of my wife and daughter. But Leo returned. A few days later, in the middle of the night, he broke a window pane to get inside. With him were two other men who looked dangerous. They had knives in their hands. They locked the three of us in a room. Leo screamed, "Where have you hidden the money? Give it all to me, or this will be your last day." I had never felt so helpless in my life. A cold chill ran down my spine as I saw my wife and daughter in such grave danger before my eyes. One of Leo's companions held a knife to Sarah's throat and said, "Old man, give us what you have, or your wife's pretty neck won't look so good anymore." I took out all the money, jewelry, everything I had from my locker. Before they left with everything, Leo looked at me and smiled a strange smile. It was a smile of victory and hatred. He said, "See, Dad, you can't stop me. Nothing can stop me." We didn't call the police that day. Out of fear, shame, and a faint hope that Leo might come back.
After that incident, we couldn't stay in that house in Pasadena anymore. The house felt like a cursed prison to us. We sold everything and moved into a small apartment. We sent Chloe to a boarding school so she could be away from this toxic environment. Our lives became confined. We cut off contact with old friends. We were ashamed to face anyone. What would we say if people asked? How could we admit to the stain on our perfect family? Occasionally, we would get news of Leo. Sometimes we heard he was living on the sidewalks of Skid Row. Other times that he was briefly jailed for theft. Every piece of news tore our hearts apart. Sarah would sit in church for hours, praying to God to bring her son back. One winter morning, the doorbell of our apartment rang. I opened the door to see a police officer standing there. His face was grim. We were not prepared for what he was about to say, but perhaps in the back of our minds, we had been waiting for this day. The police had recovered several unidentified bodies from an abandoned warehouse downtown. They had died of drug overdoses. One of them was Leo. I remember I couldn't react. It was as if my world had stopped. Sarah stood like a stone statue. When the white sheet was removed at the morgue, I couldn't recognize my son. Who was this? This wasn't my boy with the golden hair and bright eyes. This was a stranger, a disfigured body with a face etched with pain and suffering.
The years following Leo's death passed in an endless void. There was no color in our lives, no sound. There was only a deep, unbearable silence and a crushing weight on our chests. We didn't blame each other, but in both our eyes was the unasked question: where did we go wrong? Time doesn't heal all wounds, but it teaches you how to endure the pain. Chloe returned after graduating from college. It was she who pulled us out of this darkness. She made us understand that we were not to blame for what had happened. Addiction is a terrible disease that destroys a person from the inside out. Sarah and I later joined a support group for families of drug addicts. There, we saw that we were not alone. There were thousands of other parents living with the same pain, the same shame, and the same sorrow. Hearing their stories gave us the courage to tell our own. Many years have passed now. We still live in Los Angeles. I am now retired. Sarah works for a volunteer organization that helps drug-addicted teenagers. She uses the pain of her life to guide other mothers so that their children do not end up like Leo. Chloe is married now. She has a little boy. She has named him Leo. Sometimes I look at my grandson. In his smile, in his bright eyes, I find my lost Leo. At those moments, my heart cries out in anguish, but then I gather myself. Our story is not a happy one. It is a story of a deep wound. But it is not just a story of destruction. It is also a story of survival. We lost our son, but we did not lose love. Under the golden sun of Los Angeles, a large shadow still lingers over our lives. That shadow's name is Leo. We live with that shadow, because at the end of the day, for a parent, the memory of a child, no matter how painful, never fades away.